Hello, welcome to Verbling. Hi there, I'm teacher Oakley, and in this class we're going to practice description a little bit. Specifically, we're going to use English to practice describing places. And although we can touch on all types of description, my main concentration today is going to be on describing geographical features. So natural geographical features, mountains and beaches and rolling hills and endless tundra, whatever. Okay, and we're going to basically also look at a lot of adjectives today, so we'll be learning a lot of vocabulary, and you will have practice speaking, obviously, because we'll be talking about different places we've been and or would like to go and describing them. So, hello, Marcus, again.
Hello. Hello again.
Hello again. Okay, Marcos. We're going to practice describing places where we live, okay? And as an example, I'll briefly, where we live, places you visited, places you'd like to visit, and then we're going to just try to come up with as many adjectives we can about different types of geographical features. I'll start out by introducing you a little bit to where I live. To give you the idea. All right, so, and then you guys can have a turn. You guys being also, hello, Yaya?
Hello, yes, it's Yahya.
That's correct? Okay, thank you. All right, great. Thanks for joining us, Yaya. And you know what? I'm not going to ask you where you're from, because in this class, we're going to describe geographical features, and maybe I'll try to guess where you're from later. Oh, challenging. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to start out by describing where I live a little bit. I live in a small city. Okay, I won't tell you where, but maybe you could guess. Okay, this city is located at the very edge of the plains and the mountains. Okay, it's very interesting, because as I look east, well, as I look south and east, it's nothing but flat plains. There are numerous rice paddies, and there's occasional trees that sprout up in the rice paddies as far as the eye can see. However, there is one mountain which is volcanic in origin. It's a very high mountain, but it's very, very lonely, and it rises majestically from the extremely flat plains, and it has two peaks, and it's very interesting because it's not part of any chain. It's all alone. But then, as I look northward and westward, my city is right at the base of an enormous mountain chain of volcanic mountains with very acute peaks. They're very pointy, acute, a sharp angle. They're volcanic mountains, so they're very rugged, and they rise from the plains very abruptly. There's not really foothills which lead into the mountains. There's just plains and then mountains. So it's a very dramatic landscape looking to the north. And because there's these high mountains, there's a number of different rivers flowing through the city and then out across the plains, which of course provide water for all the rice farms. In any case, basically that's the geography of where I live. Okay, now you guys can have a chance to describe the geography, mountains, oceans, rivers, rolling hills, plains, whatever, from uh, where you're from. Let me quickly welcome Mohammed to the class. Hi, Mohammed.
Hi.
Hi. How are you today? How you doing?
What?
How are you?
20.
Okay. Well, all right. All right. I'm fine, and how are you? Okay, would be.
Fine.
Oh, there we go. That's what we're looking for. Okay, Marcos. Marcos, I'm gonna start with you. Describe for
Okay.
me where you live. Basically, concentrating on geographical features. If you want to bring in other elements, that's fine. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I live in a medium-sized city. Uh, well, the region here, it's kind of, well, there's no mountains, although it is not plain. There are no plains. It's kind of, you see a lot of hills if you look to the horizon with some trees, uh, random places.
Wait, hang on. Time out. Time out. Sorry, Marcos. Sorry to interrupt you. Mohammed,
Okay.
Mohammed, if you could please mute your microphone when you're not speaking.
Okay.
Thank you. There's a lot of noise. Thanks, which we can all hear. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Marcos, go ahead. Okay, you were saying.
Okay. Like I was saying, there is no mountains, although the there is no it's not a plain how can I say well, in Portuguese we used to say terreno. I can think
Is it
here. Well, we have
hills?
no, I wouldn't. Well, the ground itself, the land, there is no, it's not a plain land. It's full of hills
Okay.
and with random trees. Like it's not a forest. There's not like a forest, but there's some
Hmm.
trees randomly, and it's very dry. Like those trees are very dry. They're not like the usual trees, and they are all distorted. You know,
Oh,
they're yeah. Let me think. How can I say? Uh, mm,
maybe they're gnarly.
yeah, this team, they are kind of all distorted, like if it was in a horror movie, thing like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah, they
That's
and
actually very
well,
good.
here in Brazil we call it cerrado.
Uh-huh.
The weight of the plane is like here. We have in Brazil, in the country I live, we have I think 4 or 5 kind of different lands.
Hmm.
So here where I live, it's called Cerrado.
Okay. Uh,
Uh, there
all
is
right.
only one river. Oh, that's it? Okay.
No, no, no. Keep going. You're doing great,
Okay.
actually.
Well, there is only one river near the city that supplies the water system here.
Hmm.
And let's see. Well, that's basically it. There
Okay.
isn't much to tell actually.
All right. No, that was good. Okay. We often describe many hills as rolling hills.
Rolling hills.
There's
Okay.
a common expression. And okay, you're just talking about the trees. Now, I really liked that you used an analogy. You said they're like the trees in a horror movie. Actually,
Yeah.
that's actually excellent description. That's
Thank
very
you.
good. In English, when we use examples or analogies, it looks like something that everyone's familiar with. This is a very good way to describe things, all right, and very normal in English. So actually, I like that a lot. You could use other adjectives. There, we use the like an old man's fingers when they're all bent like this. They're gnarly. So
Yeah.
trees can be gnarly. Okay,
Yeah.
gnarly or twisted. There's different words, adjectives we
Okay.
might use, but that's good. And okay, not exactly geography, but yes, it's talking about this that
Yeah.
that gives a
Kinda.
very
I
good
like the
picture.
I like the vocabulary for it.
No, no, no. Actually, I think for me anyway, I think I have a very good picture. It's dry, talking about the climate. Okay, that's very good.
Yeah.
That's related to the geography because it is related because a place that's very wet is going to have a different kind of geography. The climate forms geography. Extremely dry is going to be desert-like. It affects the geography. So that's perfectly okay. That's actually very good. You did a great job. Okay,
Okay.
let me uh, let me talk to Yaya. Yaya,
Yes.
can you describe where you live a little bit? Let's see if I can
Okay.
guess.
I'm going to describe my home country, my home city.
Yeah, okay, great.
Okay, it's a large city. The it's built on a dry area. Uh, the weather uh, the weather is very extreme. I mean, in the summer it's very hot, and in the winter it goes very cold. Uh, the city has two rivers, but they are originally formed from the north area, you know, and they keep going on the city. Um, as I say, the weather is very extreme. What else? Actually, it's a dry area, and it was a desert before the city was built. So the city is still surrounded by a desert area. Uh, that's pretty much it.
Uh-huh. Okay.
We don't have many trees, uh, so it's a problem because in the summer, dirt, the dirt is the the weather is very, how do you call it? It has a lot of dirt and
Oh,
um,
dusty?
yeah, exactly. It's dusty and there is
Uh,
it keeps getting dusty for like 3 to 4 days, and even you can't see for a long distance. You can't see far objects because of the dusty weather. Yes,
okay. Okay, so there's a lot of haze, dust in the air, so visibility is very low.
yes, yes.
Ah, okay.
Uh, 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 it's not a, believe me, it's not a nice place to live in. Yes,
Hard.
the weather is one of the most terrible problems we have.
Yeah, sounds like it. Well,
What
Mark,
do you guys?
oh yeah, you put the pressure on. Marcos, do you have any guess? Do you have any idea?
Where he lives?
Yeah, where he lives.
Well, hmm. Well, probably in those Arabic countries,
Like in the Gulf.
like yeah, I guess so. Cause he said it's
Correct.
very
Yes,
uh,
in the Gulf.
kind of
Okay.
like a deserted. It is?
Yeah, That's what I was
Oh,
thinking
nice.
too. Really?
Yes, and actually, I'm from Iraq, Baghdad.
Ah, okay.
Oh,
Ah, Baghdad. Oh, Tigris and Euphrates. Oh yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Ah, okay. Hmm. All right. That's very interesting. How are those rivers doing, actually? Are they healthy rivers? Are there fish in the river?
The Tigris, actually, both of them are kind of drying. The water levels are dropping.
Oh no, really?
Yes, because there is a large, so many problems. There is a large dam in the
Yep.
northern area, and it's controlled by those terrorist groups, and they are, cutting off the water to the other cities, so the water levels are dropping.
Uh-oh.
Yes,
Highly problematic. Yeah,
yes.
that is not good.
But it's like the the icons for the city for Baghdad are these two rivers. I mean, no one have ever lived in this city who doesn't love these two rivers. We love them very much.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first thing I think of when I think of,
Exactly. Yes,
you
it's
know,
like
that.
the signature of Baghdad.
Right. And even I obviously don't live there, but it's the first thing I think of, actually. Especially thinking of the geography. Yeah, right. Okay. Obviously, you did a good job. And Marcos, nice, good listening skills as well. Very cool. Nice. Thank you, Yaya. That was excellent. That was very good. A couple small points related to English. However,
Mhm.
um, okay, you said it was built on a dry area. It should be built in a dry area.
Built in. Mhm.
You can say, all right, now look, just to be clear, you can say something was built on a hill or built on a mountain, but okay, if we use if we use something area, describe dry, wet, marshy, swampy, whatever area, it's always going to be in a swampy area, in a desert area, in
Mhm.
like that. So when you use area, we always use in because area means it's has boundaries inside, you know.
Mhm.
Okay,
like
and Marcos, question?
like when we're talking about cities and countries, like in I
Yeah.
don't know say the name.
Well, yes, that's true because it considers it has boundaries. That's right. We always use in with like in France, in countries, in New York City, in the
Yeah.
name of cities. We always say, uh, I spent time last summer in Madrid. Okay, for example. That's true. And it is related. Area also is function, has the same function as like saying state or country or city. It's a bound specific with boundaries place. Also, one other thing. You said in the winter it goes very cold. Better to say it becomes very cold. Okay. Um,
Okay. Thank you. It becomes very cold.
yeah,
Mhm.
we don't usually say goes for weather change. Uh, Not usually, but yeah. Anyway, not to confuse the issue. Yeah, it gets very cold.
Yeah, I was about
More
to say that.
simply. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I read your mind. I have amazing powers of
It seemed to.
telepathy. Yeah. No, I did a class yesterday about horoscope and the zodiac, and I read my horoscope yesterday, and it says I will have amazing powers of telepathy today. So
Oh,
that's why I keep guessing your answer.
great.
Great. Yes, very silly. Um, Marcos, tell me about a different geographical area. that you have been, or heaven forbid, if you haven't been anywhere, a place you would like to go.
Well, I would like to go to a cold country when it snows. That it
Okay.
snows. But not to live, because I wouldn't be able to survive the cold, but just to see it and experience.
Uh-huh. But what kind? Okay. Can you think of a specific place?
Well, a place surrounded by mountains
Okay. Yes.
with, well, yeah, with forests,
All right.
very a lot of nature.
All right.
Um, well, if you watched The Lord of the Rings, right?
Oh yeah, New
Do
Zealand. It
you
was
remember those? Yeah, that kind of geography I would like
ah
to visit.
okay. Very rocky. Very actually very ancient geography with very
Mm,
rocky mountains with cliffs and dramatic precipices. Ooh, there's a word for you. A precipice is a very nice word for a cliff. Uh, okay. And we often use dramatic to talk about geography. Dramatic cliffs and rock faces. All right, where you see like a wall of rock. We call that a rock face. Uh
rock
huh.
face.
Uh huh. Okay. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah. Actually, it's not quite where I grew up. I grew up in northeastern United States, but in the mountains, and it's actually somewhat similar to that type of landscape, but much older mountains, kind of rounder mountains, not so peaked
I
or
see.
peaked, but lots of boulders and rocks. And farmers can't farm. Well, they can, but it's very difficult because there's so many rocks in the soil. Because
I
it's so,
see.
it's been through many ice ages. So that every ice age, it drops rocks and boulders everywhere. So everywhere you go, there's rocks and boulders. In the middle of the field, there'll be a giant boulder the size of a house. You're walking through the forest, and suddenly there'll be groups of boulders everywhere. And the ground is very up and down and holes, and it's not flat at all. It's very contoured, lots of holes, and so it's interesting walking through the forest because it's been sculpted over and over again by glaciers.
Very irregular.
Very irregular. Very good.
So this is the place you was describing the first time?
No, no, no. This is a different. This is where I grew up.
Oh, I
The
see.
place I was describing the first time. I live in the Philippines now.
Oh, Philippines.
Yeah, so I'm in an island. So I'm near volcanic mountains,
Mm,
and then far, far rice paddy fields, plains. Philippines, it's either one or the other. There's just either it's just flat rice plains or it's really quite large volcanic mountains that are popping up everywhere. And so there you that's basically the geography. Uh, basically. But where I grew up is much older geographically. It's really, really ancient.
hmm
I was actually part of Pangea in the ancient, really ancient when the world was one continent. It was actually still above water. It's existed for a really long time. So
Whoa, that's
it's
old.
old. Yeah, in the tops of the mountains, you know, you're very likely to find like fossils of fish and seashells when the ocean actually not even fish. It was before. It was in the ocean when before there was fish. So
I
it's all
see.
shells and trilobites and that age when there were islands at that point. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Hiking in the mountains, you get to the top of a mountain and you find fossils. Cool.
Oh,
Anyway,
really? That can happen?
sure. Sure. Some parts of the world are really old, and they used to be in the ocean, and now they've been raised up. Yeah, definitely, very true, very possible, uh, and almost common actually where I come from.
Yeah, I mean it's done a nice thing to find a shell on the top of a mountain.
Right. Yeah, and it's it's some I don't know exactly, but it's like hundreds of millions of years old. It's kind of cool. Uh, okay. Yaya, have you? Can you describe a place where you have been with it, or that you would like to go to that has a different kind of geography?
Yes. I went to a place. Let me just describe it first. It's a very small island. Um, it's on the in Asia, and very small island. It's very humid, very humid, and very hot weather. Uh, um, how can I describe more? It's raining a lot during the summer and the winter. It's like raining most of the time. Mm, it's like a forest, and the city is built on a forest. Um, so when there is a bridge, underneath the bridge you can find trees and plants everywhere. So it's a green, like a green small island, but at the same time it's very developed. So many new buildings. It was very beautiful. And there is a river inside the island. Uh,
There's a
did
what
you?
inside the island? Sorry,
There is a small river.
river. Oh,
River. Yes.
hmm. Well, that's
Uh,
where is
it's the most. It's the most beautiful place that I have ever been to. It's Singapore.
Oh, Singapore. Oh, I thought you said. Oh, I thought you said. I thought you said the Aegean. uh,
No, no,
No,
I
uh,
say
we
it's a part of Asia.
Asia. Oh, you said Asia. I thought you said
Uh,
Aegean. So I'm trying. I'm thinking about Greece and Crete and
no.
Mediterranean. Okay, I'm way off base. Ah, okay, right. I've been to Singapore myself, but
What do you think of it?
well, I think it's beautiful. But I, if I can be totally frank and open and honest with you, I didn't like it. I left early. I left before. I really didn't like it because
Maybe it's not the place to live in. Maybe it's a place to visit. To
yeah, it's like going to a museum. Would you want to live in a museum? I mean, it's all very beautiful, pristine, but and perfect. But there were so many. Perhaps I was just unlucky, and I was traveling by myself. I
uh,
so I was very much having to interact with people. I don't know, people that travel with other people. Maybe they would have a different perspective. I don't know how to say it, but from the moment I arrived, I was just not
just thinking
physically.
about leaving.
Physically, it was beautiful. There's no garbage. It's all the perfect city. It's the model
Very
city.
very clean city.
Very clean. But uh, I got on the bus from the airport, and everyone is sitting up perfectly straight with very good posture. Everyone's looking straight ahead. No one's talking to anyone else on the bus. For me, this is very weird.
Yes,
Um,
that's correct.
everyone is perfectly polite. They're like robots, and it's scary. I went to a
It's a
park.
robot city.
It, it
City
scared
of
me.
robots.
City of robots. Yeah, I thought I was in a zombie movie or something. Um, I sat on a I sat on a park bench and I got a map. I went to a little store and I got a tourist map and I'm planning my day and I'm having coffee. I was a smoker at that time. I lit a cigarette, and I'm looking at my map, and a policeman comes up, and he says, "Excuse me, sir, you're not allowed to smoke here," speaking in a very robotic voice. He obviously was speaking English, so he recognized I was an English speaker. Anyway, he said, "You have to go over to the smoking area. There's a huge park. I'm in the middle of it on a park bench with no one within really 50 meters of myself. Maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe 30 meters. But I'm all by myself, outdoors, smoking a cigarette. And he makes me go to a little tiny area, which is roped off, which is right next in the corner of the park, next to a very busy intersection with thousands of people going by. And I have to smoke there. I'm like, where is the logic here? We have to smoke next to the people. They're worried about secondhand smoke, but I have to go smoke next to the people instead of away from the people.
No sense at all.
Well, they're much more interested in rules and laws than they are common sense. That was my perception. And here's another one. Things kept happening one after another to me. I went to a crosswalk, and the light was broken. Okay, the little green walking man, you know, he turns green and he turns red. It was broken. I swear to you, the citizens just lined up and refused to cross the street, even though the cars were stopped, and it was obviously time for them to cross the street because the little red man didn't turn red. I mean, he didn't turn green. It was broken. It was broken.
They were just standing still waiting for it to turn into green.
For 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, what in the hell are you people doing? Excuse my language. And I just walked across the street, you know, like a human being.
Yes, that happened to me. But as you said, it's like a museum, like a place where you go and you see people very, following the rules and the laws, but you can't live it. Can't.
To the point where it just doesn't even make common sense anymore. They've so fallen in love with the rules. I ate at a restaurant, and they said, "Excuse me, sir." The food is great, by the way. I love the food. I ate at a restaurant, and it was an open, many different small restaurant like kiosks. All right, one after another, and then they had public seating for everyone. Well, I don't know. There's no indication, but I just took a seat. There's no one there. I was hungry, different time zones, so I was hungry before lunchtime. You know how it is when you travel. You're on a different time. And then, so I was hungry. It was like 10 in the morning, and I was eating lunch. So there was no one there. I'm the only one there. Literally the only person there. And there's like 150, 200 seats, different tables. And I'm starting to eat. And then someone approaches me and says, "Sir, you just bought food from that restaurant, but you're sitting in this other restaurant's area. You're going to have to move." And I'm like, "Are you serious? I'm the only one here. Where do I need to move to?" And they pointed to a seat that was the next seat over. I had to stand up and move.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. All of this happened, all of the stories I told you were within the first like 4 hours that I've been there. And I was just like, oh my God, get me out of this place. It's a nightmare. It's a horror movie. They're going to take over and suck out my brain. And I was scared, really. Yeah, it freaked me out, man. It is beautiful. It is truly beautiful. It's a little expensive, but it is beautiful.
It's expensive, yes.
But
it's a place that's worth seeing,
It is. It's multicultural. There's a lot of things to do there, that's for sure. And it is very beautiful. And the food is terrific as well. But if you're thinking of having a warm, friendly, fun conversation with the locals, forget it. They just wouldn't talk to me. I don't know your experience. And I've had Asians tell me...
They were smiling a lot, but I don't think that I I could get a like a small friendly chat or
Yeah, I don't know if it's Europeans or what, but I've had Asian friends who went there and said, "Oh yeah, people talk to us, and it was very easy to start conversations." But I talk to people and or try to start conversations, and people would just look at me like, "What are you talking to people about?" Maybe it's white guys. I don't know. Anyway, freaked me out. Freaked me out, that's for sure. Okay, anyway, I'm way off topic. Thanks for listening to me rattle on. But it's interesting to share our perspectives.
yes, sure.
Yeah. Uh, and geographically, there's really nothing much to say about it. You're right. It's really small, considering. You know,
Very small.
it's amazing, actually, the job that they've done. It's just a small island, but they've packed in a lot of parks and greenways and the different styles of buildings, so it seems bigger than it is. Do you know what I mean?
Correct. And there's
It's
what do you call it? The place where all the ships and the harbor or
the
where?
harbor, exactly.
Yes,
Very good.
yes.
Right.
It has a very large harbor.
Yeah, sure does. Yeah, it's a major, major shipping port for sure.
Yes. When you stand there and you start looking at this at the ocean at the sea, it's filled with ships who are waiting for their turn.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. I yeah, I saw that too. I was pretty impressed by that as well, actually. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I remember thinking that as well. Wow, cool. Okay. Uh, okay. What? Uh, all right. Let's think about some other places and how to describe them. Uh, let's try a little brainstorming interaction here. We haven't really talked about any beaches yet. What adjectives can we think of that relate to maybe beaches or ocean beaches, let's say? Marcos, can you think of an adjective you could use to describe the area of a ocean beach?
Wide
What do you?
open and
Ocean.
plain.
Okay. Wide open and what?
Plain, like I don't know another word for it. Plain. There is no irregular
Ah.
like no hills, nothing. Just a plain. You can
Uh,
see through far away
okay.
without anything obstructing your view.
Okay.
Do you
Wide
mean
open.
like a coastal area?
Yeah, coastal area is what I'm trying to think of. I'm trying to think of both adjectives and nouns. What are some things that you describe when you describe a coastal area or a beach? Okay, but just to address Marcos's statement, plains is very specific to flat lands, usually interior, that are uh, not very high in elevation, often very productive agriculture for agricultural reasons. All right, these are plains. If they're higher up, sometimes they're called steppes, and if they're really high up, for example, in the western part of the United States, it seems flat. It seems like you're just driving and driving and driving, and it's flat, but we don't call it plains because it's actually your 6,000 feet in elevation just driving flat, and then the mountains go up from there. Because there's a huge portion, I mean really huge, thousands and thousands of kilometers that just was pushed up on the earth. So it's like a table. It goes up. It's the whole section of the West, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. Nevada, and that's called a plateau.
What about Texas? Because I live in Texas now.
Texas is also, it has, well, Texas is big, as you know. Part of it in the west, like toward El Paso, that's plateau land. Texas has a lot of different features, actually. If you're talking geography, all kinds of features. Part of it, if you're going up to Dallas and Fort Worth out toward Oklahoma, it's plains. In the far west, it's plateau. If you're in Corpus Christi in the south, it's beach and coastal. If you're in Houston, then you have you're right near, and you're going east from Houston, which is in East Texas. Then you have the bayous. Do you know what a bayou is?
Like
I heard that.
lakes and something like.
Yeah, that's right. It's very close to sea level, so the water doesn't. It's not like a rushing river. The water barely crawls, and it winds around, and there's many, many little islands, little hussocks, and the alligators live there, you know. Anyway, it's
How do you?
very wet.
You did type the word, but because I was about to ask you about the word there, and you just wrote it there.
Yeah, did I spell that right? I think so. I believe that's correct. I think that's right. I'm not sure about my spelling there, actually. I don't have spell check's not working today. But
Yes,
yeah,
it's correct. Yes, I just wrote it on Google.
Okay, thanks. All right. So Texas is well. There you go. You got everything there. Really, it is huge. But okay. Going back to beaches. So you wouldn't really call them plains, but you would. Wide open is good. However, you might have rolling dunes. You know, sand dunes. This is common. Coastal areas. Okay. Yeah. What else could you say about coastal area? What other features might a coastal area include?
You mean the land or the sea? Or
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's humid most of the time.
Okay. It's kind of. Depends where you are. It is windy or breezy most of the time. I've rarely been to the ocean when there's no wind. In fact, I don't actually. I've been to the ocean many, many times. I don't remember ever being no wind. Breezy, gusty. Even say breezy if it's a constant wind. You can say gusty if it's on and off, on and off. Gusty winds. Yeah. Okay. Humid, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. It might depend where you are. What about the water? Marcos, how do you describe the water?
Salty?
It's a geographical salty. No, it's how it looks or.
Well, that's hard. Describe your water.
Yeah. Doesn't believe me, I've been to beaches all over the world and it's completely different.
Well, dark water.
Sure. Okay. Color. Talking about the color.
Yeah. Well, it can be kind of a dark blue.
Can be.
Maybe when it's very close to the beach itself, it may be kind of a brownish.
Sure. Okay.
With the waves coming and going.
Yeah. Okay. If you're near.
Maybe it's excuse me. Maybe it's in constant moving waves.
Yeah. Or it can be. All right. First of all, okay. Getting back to color, you have many colors. light blue, dark blue, green, black. I've seen black
Wow.
crashing waves in the Atlantic, believe me. The water looks black. It's kind of scary. The water can also be very clear, especially if it's near a river. It can have rolling break. How many ways we use rolling? Sand dunes, rolling breakers to mean waves. We like using that term in English to describe geographical things and describe places. Rolling breakers, yeah, those are like constant waves. Breakers are another name for waves. When they have the white foam on the top, it's called a breaker.
I see.
In fact, a wave can break. We say a wave breaks when it starts to, when it goes, when when the wave rolls over, okay, it breaks and it crashes down. All right, so they're called breakers. Sure. Or it can be, to use another analogy, as still as glass. Sometimes the water's as still as glass. If you're in a protected bay, can be. Okay. So also, what's another feature that we haven't even mentioned about the beach? Well, barely mentioned. What are your feet in at the beach?
Fish.
Well, probably the sand. Okay. Most people, the first thing they talk about when they talk about the beach and they describe it, they say, for example, it's a white sand beach. It's a white sand beach.
Oh, the sand.
It's a rocky beach. All right. It's a black sand beach. Right. Okay. So this is very normal. A way to describe a beach area. Sure. So describing the water, describing the beach, and then describing what's inward in the land. All right. Okay. Sometimes, all right. Coasts are very different. A coast can be rocky. Okay, rocky, or terrain as rugged, means it would be very hard to travel. That can include mountains or rocky coasts. All right. What else? Okay, it can be very. On the other hand, it can be very. The opposite. It can be wide open, as Marco said. All right, let's try a different area. Let's get away from the water totally and go to the desert. What are words that we use to describe the desert or very dry areas? Okay. Marcos?
Well, those rolling dunes.
Okay. Sure. That's also a feature of the desert.
Yeah. Well, like yellowed sand.
Yellowed sand? I don't know. Maybe. But yeah, we could definitely describe the color of the sand. Okay. True. All right. What do you call an area of water in the middle of the desert? Do you know?
Oasis.
Oh, very good. Okay. All right. Okay, oasis, which hopefully may have palm trees or date trees around it. All right, great. Okay. What else? Yeah. What else can we use? What else can we find in the desert? Ooh, are there geographical features, or what other adjectives we use to describe a desert?
Maybe the plants. There are special kind of plants that grow in the desert.
Uh huh. True. Uh, okay. Actually, being from America, when I think of the desert, of course, I think of cactus. American
Yeah.
deserts are famous for cactus. But
Mhm.
are there cactus in other places? Are there cactus in Brazil? Are there cactus in Iraq? I don't know.
Yeah, there is.
No, no.
Not
I
in
mean, in
Iraq.
the not in Iraq. No.
No. Do you have
Just,
it in Brazil, Marcos?
Yeah, but not as like in US. It's a little bit rare to see it.
Ah, okay. All right.
Well, it's so rare that some people have it in their house as a vase, so a cactus in a vase, like a
Sure.
plant. You take care of it.
Right, because it's easy to take care of. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's another question. You guys are both from dry areas. Do you have salt flats where you live? Do you know what I mean? Salt flats? This is an
Yep.
interesting geographical feature. It comes from when an area used to be an ocean, and it's just dried up. It is actually just physically dried up, and
yes,
it's
it leaves a layer of salt on
correct.
the ground.
Precisely. Yeah. Exactly. So it looks weird. And actually, like in the early morning or late in the after when the sun is setting or rising, sunsetters. Sometimes because of the angle, it refracts. It shines off the salt, and it looks really shiny, and you can see like different lights. It's weird. Kind of. It's kind of weird looking, actually.
Oh,
Mhm.
funny.
Yeah. For a short time, but it does weird things to the light, definitely. But do they have salt flats in Iraq? Is that something you could see?
Yes, you can usually see salt flats in the southern areas,
Uh-huh.
uh, where there used to be maybe water, and it was covered with water for a long time, and then all dried up. Uh, yes, because I think the west area of the country, it has been dry for a very long time, so you can't see the salt.
Right.
You call them salt flats? Salt
Mm-hmm.
flats?
Yes,
Yes.
that's
So,
right.
but in the southern area, it's very common. It's very common to see them.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, they have some in the United States too, especially in Utah. Bonneville salt flats are very famous, and it's weird. There's a highway that drives right through them, so yeah, it's
Oh,
kind of
I
cool,
see.
kind of neat to drive through there.
Hmm.
For a while. For the first 10 minutes, it's neat. For the next 6 hours, it's boring.
Maybe because it covers a large areas, not
Yeah,
like in Iraq. No, it's only for
yeah,
small areas.
yeah. It's quite large. Yeah. I don't think it's 6 hours, but there are definitely parts of the United States. In Nevada, for example, if you're going from the lower southeastern corner to the northwestern corner, there's a highway. You can drive basically perfectly straight for about 12
Mhm.
hours. Seriously,
Oh,
you might see
it's a
three
long time.
cars all day. You may see three other cars. It's crazy. Yeah. Uh, okay. All right. What's another area we could talk about? Oh, forested areas. Okay. How do we describe forested areas? Well, as forested, for starters. Okay. All right. Many forested areas, they're forested because they have plenty of water, obviously. So, for example, where I grew up is a forested mountainous area. There's many small rivers, lakes, and streams. What's the difference between a river and a stream? Well, wait a minute. Here's geographical features. Okay. 101. A very small stream, like as wide as your hand. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We might call that a rivulet. Very tiny. All right.
Rivulet. Mm-hmm.
Rivulet. And then if I can actually step over it, all right, I can walk over it. It's a little wider. In English, we call it a brook. All right. It's a small brook. Now you start to have actual fish and living things in the river, in the brook, and then you can walk across it, but you can't jump across it, but you can walk across it. Maybe you can hop on rocks and get across without getting your feet wet.
Mm-hmm.
That's a stream. Okay, it's a little bit bigger, and then basically after that. We have rivers, small, medium, large rivers. Okay, but anyway, there are tons of, where I'm from, there are tons of brooks and streams coming down from the mountains, many waterfalls,
Mm-hmm.
small
I
and
like
large.
these areas.
Yeah, very pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do too. Very pretty, very peaceful. As I said, lots of boulders. Where I grew up, many times we would go to a stream. There'd be deep holes under the waterfalls. Water, obviously, pushing down. Lie on a rock all day, basically doing nothing. Jump in the river whenever you got
Take
hot.
a swim, yes.
Take a swim. Very nice. Very peaceful. Very quiet. Terrific. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. I hope you learned a little bit of vocabulary to talk about describing places. Thank you for
Absolutely.
participating, and I'll see you guys again here on Verbling. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Bye.